Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Friday follow-up in the continuing journey of accountability. Today, I hope this chat with you won't fall to pieces. But what I'd like to talk to you about today is, how do you fit in? How do you fit in, TOPS? We all try to find the pieces to our own puzzle. And as I know, and I found out quickly doing puzzles with my grandkids, they'll try to shove a piece in where it doesn't belong. And I know, and I think we all know as TOPS members, that we do come across various pieces of the puzzle in our journey to a healthier lifestyle that works for us, but we know we can't jam them in somebody else. We can't say this is what works for me and it's got to work for you, and it just doesn't happen that way. And I think that's why I try to think this way, and headquarters staff and our field staff try to come up with different options for our members. But again, how do you fit in? If you don't let people around you know what you need, it's hard to find help. Just take as an example these chats that I've been doing on Friday mornings, and Barb Katie started doing them first way back in March of 2020. Remember those days, folks? You know, Barb started doing these Monday morning chats and checking in on everybody as a way of filling in a piece that was missing because we could not meet due to the pandemic. Well, I saw those and I copied, stole, and modified away, and then did a Friday morning follow-up with you folks as a way of filling in a piece. How these will go forward in our TOPS lives, we're working on. We'd like to see these chats, and I think some of them that Barb has done, and I know some that I've done, can be downloaded and used at a chapter meeting as a point of discussion. Not words that Rick said or Barb said, and we have to follow what they said, just as some mechanism or some talking point to get a group discussion going amongst the chapters. Because again, I can't jam a piece in that won't fit if it doesn't fit you. And I keep on coming up to that point because so often folks will say to me, well, why did you join TOPS? And, you know, at the beginning, I really don't know why. I could say, well, I obviously was a wreck and I needed help to lose weight and get healthy. But why didn't other things work for me? There were other pieces out there that maybe could have worked, and we've tried them all. You know what I'm talking about. But TOPS had the right pieces because it wasn't where I had to follow A, B, C, and D. I could skip around and find things that would work for me, things that I was comfortable with. And I think kind of jumping ahead where how we fit in is that I think members sometimes are not or could be more proactive in what they need to fill in the pieces. I've often said, and this is what I'm trying to get at here, and it's hard to discuss this. I've often said that TOPS is a safe haven because society out there has so much fat shaming and weight bias out there. We're more comfortable in our groups because we all have the scars. We all know what goes on out in the outside of TOPS world. And the upcoming issue of TOPS News that should be hitting the mailbox we'll deal with the subjects of weight bias and fat shaming. Last night at a school board meeting that I was at, they were working on an anti-bullying policy in because of what's going on in the schools. And I brought up the fact that, fat shaming and weight bias is a big part of bullying. Again, just because of the judgment of thinking like, well, here are the pieces that you must follow, and not realize that sometimes we have to pick our own pieces and put them together our way. So, it's hard to try to fit in. At many times where I kind of get questions or issues dealing with chapter problems, is that sometimes folks are just trying to say this is the way to go, and no, you have to let people find their own pieces, and you can't just shove that piece in. So I'm hoping that we can make better use of these chats that Barbara and I have been doing. We're looking at YouTube and trying to find easier access for folks to grab them and use them when you can. Again, not because Rick said or Barb said, it's just, oh, look, they talked about how we fit in, or they talked about weight bias, or last week I talked about challenges, and then everybody can share challenges, their own personal challenges, because although it's granted, it's hard sometimes to open up on how you're really feeling, but in a chapter or a TOPS environment, it is a safe haven. And the only way that we can probably dispel or try to fight that battle against weight bias and fat shaming and stuff is to include more people into our safe haven and get folks to come join us to see what we're all about. Shameless plug to get more members in TOPS as we come out of this pandemic. And folks, we're going to be coming out of this pandemic, and I know there's people that are folks that are still fearful, and that's fine. We get it, but again, we've got a lot of pieces out there that can help you as you find your way back to TOPS. And again, some of these virtual products that we have are putting in place may help with that. So, I know it's 2 weeks in a row talking about puzzles and stuff, but that's kind of where my mind has been going in the new year, 2022. I seem to do better in the even years. Let's see what happens. I don't know how this one will work, but I think what's really important going forward as we try to come out of the pandemic and find the right pieces to make our way back is that we need to hear more from you folks. Whether it's an email or posting on Facebook or YouTube or sending letters to headquarters, we have to know what pieces you're looking for. We can't work in a vacuum. The world changes way too fast. And as much as I would love to be on the road, popping into every chapter, and who knows, it might happen soon where you might be having a discussion or listening to one of my videos, and I might walk into the room. I want that to happen so desperately. And we're almost there. But we need to hear from you. We really need to hear, and use any way you can, whether it's written letters, emails, posting on these Facebook chats and stuff like that, getting together with your chapter and writing one letter through your leader, contacting your field staff. We've got to get this conversation going, folks. We have to really get to the mountaintop and go forward and yell out that we're here and we're willing to help, and we want to know what people need. So again, I get going on these rants, and I only have a couple of buzzwords on a piece of paper, and I just let a free flowing thought. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's dangerous, and sometimes it just falls all to pieces. But I know you folks can pick the right piece and help me put the whole picture back together. So for this continuing journey of accountability, it's been a struggle for 2022, and a little surprised because I tend to do better in the even years, like I said. But again, I mentioned I had to go to a school board meeting last night, but I was able to run in and get weighed in, and I had a 2.6-pound loss this week. I was very, very appreciative of this, but I'm still not where I need to be, obviously, and I'm still higher than what I started the year out. So that's my goal. I want to get back to where I started the year, kind of draw a line, find a new piece to my puzzle, and go forward, because that's what we have to do. We have to go forward despite any challenges that we face, any wrong piece that we might have picked up, adjust and go forward. And I'll see you next Friday.